What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Foot Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. I am here with the great Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., Athletic Director of Bowie State University. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Anytime I'm with you, TP, I'm doing great.
Listen, y'all going to get a lot of us, as a follow-up, from the talk, the rise, the awareness, the impact of HBCU sports. Y'all saw Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., and myself, along with Ms. Mama Wanda Durant, and we talked about the importance of HBCU, the sports, etc. But today, this segment is solely focused on Bowie State in itself.
I'm glad that there is some focus out there on HBCUs, and I'm glad that people are paying attention to what we're trying to achieve here as an educational entity.
And before we talk about the sports side of everything, we want to talk about the academic achievements that your athletic department has been receiving as well, because it's always student first, athlete second. So if you can kind of touch base on the success academically that you guys have been having.
Well, TP, it goes back to my beginning in this business when I was at my other former institution, New York Institute of Technology, where I got my degree. And the first thing I tell student athletes or prospective student athletes when they come through the door, I ask them a question: why are you here? And the only thing I want to hear from them first is that they're here for an education. Now, they'll hear I'm here to play ball, I'm here to do this. And I said, no. You're here to get an education. Yeah, the ball will take care of itself. The sororities will take care of itself. The fraternities will take care of itself. The extracurricular activities will take care of itself. But you got 4 years in college, 5 maybe. But then you got 40 years to do what the rest of us are doing, that your mom and dad are doing. So I preach education, and that's the foundation of what this school was developed as in 1865, as a place for an opportunity for people who were deprived an educational opportunity to have that ability to be upperly mobile and to be part of society without someone holding you down or not allowing you to become who you want to be. So from those roots in Baltimore, Calvin and Saratoga, and out here to the Jericho Farm, which is now Bowie State University, all the names in between, normal school and this, that, and the third, we have arrived. And this is the whole point of where we're here. If you look at the pillars that Dr. Bro, our president, she speaks about, we're the first HBCU in the state of Maryland, and our pillars are academic excellence, student success, and ensuring the long-term viability of this great institution. If you do the first two, the third will take care of itself. So we got to have academic success, and that's what I base my athletic department on. You can't have athletic participation without academic performance.
Absolutely.
That comes first. So I got to teach these to the students, and sometimes they get a little beside themselves, but we put in place programs such as our academic enhancement program, mentorship programs, tutoral programs, any type of support they need. We have a Bulldog book bank to help them with their books. So all of these things come together, and so our persistence rates, our academic success rates are higher than the normal student body because, we have that carrot that we hold on to, and that carrot is participation. And so we're very proud. We have an AD honor roll, and 3/4 of our student athletes make it to the AD honor roll, which you got to have at least a 3.2 GPA to be in the honor roll every semester. So, and we give out shirts and says, you got grades. And people say, how can I get a shirt? Get grades. Get grades. Get a shirt. And we honor them with a luncheon. And it's really a festive opportunity to invite their faculties. So we want them to be proud of their academic achievements. And that's the same thing the school is doing with the honor roll. Last year, we started a program at our last football game where the honor roll students were given medallions, and they came to the last football game, and we got them out at halftime, and they came through, and everybody was all excited. A lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, the parents were all excited because now we're trying to recognize their achievements and the understanding that this is something that is very, very important, not only to them, but to the society at large.
Yes.
And our graduation classes are getting bigger and bigger, and we're trying to get people through this pipeline quicker without them coming in here and spending 5 or 6 years, which is, you're wasting time. And the one thing that none of us can get back is time.
Absolutely.
The time you step through that door, the time you came in here, you can't get that back. So we're trying to get them to be in the now, because now is the moment that never ends. If you understand your now, you know where you come from, you know why you're here, and you know where you're going.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of philosophy that we're trying to do and enrich into our student athletes.
Before I move on to some of the things you said, I do want to touch base, but I want to go back. And you talked about Bowie State being the first HBCU in Maryland. Does that do Bowie take that with the grain of, we're leading the way, that we are the example, and that we are setting the standard that is the standard for Bowie, but it's a standard that can be duplicated for success, or to have a mindset of success? Because I think a stigma with HBCUs, and I've heard this from a couple of different Division I coaches, is that HBCUs is more about the athletics, but Bowie State talk more about the academic, which is a big highlight because, as you said, you can't get on the field unless you have the grades. So you have to have the grades, but it's about excelling, not just meeting that low bearing fruit standard to getting on the field.
We're just a subset of this university. We have 6,400 students, 300 student athletes. So we're part of the bigger picture, and we got to fit into that picture and fit in the picture. If you look at what Dr. Bro and all my vice presidents, my colleagues are doing, especially as a provost in the academic setting, Adobe, BG&E, all these folks are coming in here looking for interns. They're looking for our student athletes to intern with them because they understand the value of what we have right here. We bring diversity to a lot of these companies that they don't have. And not only is the diversity piece, but our students get in there and do extremely well with them. So that sets the standards and brings us up. Being the first, we're proud of being the first HBCU in the state of Maryland. There's a lot of competition. You got Morgan, Howard's in DC. They're not really in Maryland, but
right.
They're right at the cusp. You could throw a rock at them from the DC, from
right.
the borderline. You got the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, on the other side. So we have these HBCUs. So there was a time when people questioned the relevancy, the validity of an HBCU. But we have a place here. We still entertaining first generation students, which, to me in 2023 is like unheard of. No one in your family has went to college before? No. So we have to grab them by the hand, bring them in, understand that this is a culture where you don't have to question your blackness.
Yes.
Whether you go to other schools, why is your hair like that? Why are you doing that? Why that's none of this here. We have our own issues. There's no question about it. But we're trying to give them a comfortable space for them to achieve success. And that's just what this whole educational piece is all about. It's just not education from an academic perspective. It's education to educate you on how to function in society. So that's what the goal is, so they can get out and be positive, productive citizens in a very complex and diverse and evolving society. As you already know, things are changing. We just talked about what's going on in the political sense. So you got to have awareness of where you're at and what's going on and how it affects you. And the things people talk about when they get in the real world, I always dislike that statement. They're in the real world. This is their real world. This is their now. We have to make sure that when they step over to the next phase of their life, they're ready out there. They complain about this, but when they get up out there, they're not going to bring nobody listening to them out there.
Listen to the complaint.
Nobody's going to listen to them, but they cry about fees and this and that thing. And I was having this conversation with a young man today about fees. I said, "What do you think fees? What do you think your taxes are?"
Fees.
They're fees. What do you think when you
go out to eat?
It's a fee. What do you think when they charge you on your credit card? It's a fee.
It's an extra fee.
When you buy your house, points. That's a fee. So everything is attached to some kind of element where people are making money, but you got to understand how you need to manage yourself. And management is the key, not just from a book perspective or a business perspective, but how you manage your life, how you manage your relationships, how you manage your finances.
Absolutely.
All this thing is managing. You need to understand your value as a person because you're the most important person in your life. And if you don't understand that, you can't do nothing for nobody, your mama, your sister, your children, nobody. So it's not narcissistic, it's realistic. So once we understand that, we can move forward and be the kind of person that we want to be.
The thing that I love, and one of the things that I love about Mr. Doughty Jr. is that when you talk to him, you could tell by his passion, his energy, that of the things that are important to him. And albeit, he is the athletic director, this is not the first time that we've had a conversation on the academic piece. And he is more gung-ho about the academic piece than the athletic piece, and not because one is over the other, but his passion for the success and the maturation of our younger generations, older generations, anyone that comes through Bowie State, that is seeking to get a degree, the importance and the will to want that to happen. It's not a facade. It's not a show. It is who he is, and that's what really drives me to the energy with Mr. Doughty is because he's not looking at it from a standpoint on okay, bring your talents to Bowie State and help us win championships or basketball or softball or bowling. He is what is your goal in the life after college, which may not include sports. And that starts with what you do within the classroom, how you prepare yourself mentally, how you prepare yourself to go beyond the life. Because as he said, college is the real world as well. It's not a fake world because at the end of the day, you are your own individual. You have to get yourself up. You have to motivate. In those days when you don't feel motivated, that's the real world to me.
And TP, you hit on why I do what I do. Prime example, Amir Hall.
Quarterback.
One of the greatest quarterbacks we've had at Bowie State University. 2-time Black College Player of the Year. Finished degree early. Took a shot at the NFL, didn't get it, but he got his degree. Yeah. And he's doing very, very well. When he comes back and I see him, I'm so proud of him because he understood that I had a great career, but now I need to move on with something that is tangible. Yeah. You can't leave here and spend all this time without something tangible. And what does a degree get you, TP?
Oh, it gives you the keys to success for life.
Not really. What it does is get you a spot in a room with a bunch of other people with a degree. And when you go for your job, you're sitting around an application and you hope you get chosen to first get an interview based upon what you've done in college, your credentials, your portfolio. Yeah. So all of these things come into play. So then when you get that opportunity, you get the interview, now you're all over, you're trying out again. That's why athletes are so successful because they're used to trying out. They're used to competing. Certain people don't have that pressure gets to them. So I understand that pressure, man. I want to start. I want to make this team. So if I want to make this next team, I got to go in there ready, prepared. I got to practice. And if I don't practice, I'm not productive. So they got to produce. And they understand those whole values. That's why a lot of athletes, I had an employer tell me one time, she said, I'll take a B student athlete over an A student anytime who's not an athlete. And he said, because they understand the discipline. They've worked hard because they've had more to do outside of academics to get that B. So they get it. And that's the same thing with the Army. All of those things that are regimented, they develop discipline in you to understand that I have to be time managed to achieve my goals. So all of that comes into play. And you're absolutely right. When it comes down to choices, and I look at the choices, athletic. Last year, people can't even tell you who won the Super Bowl last year. Who won the Super Bowl last year? Who won this last year? They don't know. They talk about now. They talk about we're trying to do this now. That's done. They don't have their rings and they don't have their parades and their parties. We're right here.
Right.
So that's the point of life, man. Life moves on. I mean, we all go through this period of time that we've had this success, and I call it the maze of life. We have the joy and pain, sunshine and rain. Those are the elements. That's the maze. That's it right there. You got it all right there wrapped up, and we're all going to go through it. We're going to have joy, we're going to have pain, it's going to be raining, it's going to be sunshine. So you got to take all of that together, and you got to manage it.
Told y'all, man, listen. Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., he be on it. Before we transition to anything sports related, I did want to touch on, you talked about some of the programs that you guys have set up for the students who are excelling or to help them excel. Can you kind of run that down as well? Because everything that we do, we call it the All Access Bowie State University sports. Of course, it's a sports channel, but we do provide, and we will also provide educational piece as well to give you the tools and the keys to success and the resources that you would need before and during so. So any, high school students who's watching this, we're talking to kids from Flowers, from Bowie High School to Wise. When you talk about the keys to helping them exceed and excel, and you ran off a couple different clubs that you have. And one thing that I did like before you can run those clubs down for me again, is that the recognition of the hard work that you put into the classroom. Yes, your grade is the result of that, but it's always good to have that like you said, you guys do a luncheon, or even the halftime at halftime last year when they came on to the field and they received their pens. Like those are things those are feel good moments. Like all of the hard work and dedication and time that I put in and commitment is paying off, and it's a feel good feeling about it. So you can kind of touch base on those programs that you ran down again to highlight, for highlighting of those areas in which how the academic pedestal and the importance of the academics with Bowie State. But not only is it important for you to get, but we're going to help you get there. We're going to help give you the tools, or try to give you the tools to help you attain that.
Well, first, this is an educational entity. This whole place, Bowie State University. So no one's coming here just to play sports. That's something you can do outside of here. But if you want to come here, you got to have the mindset that you got to have this balance, life in a balance, and you got to be able to do both at the same time. So right then and there, I know as an administrator, as a role model, I have to put things in place, find the resources to put them in place. So when I first got here, I found that there was a deficit of academic success, and I tried to get to the bottom of it. And one of the things was resources, books. Certain people had books, some people had. First generation students, they're struggling because they don't have the support back home. Not because the people don't want to support them, because they just don't have the resources. Right. So I started this program called the Bulldog Book Bank, where you take books, you put them in the library. It was twofold: providing the necessary tools for you to get your work. If you couldn't buy the book on your own, you can go in the library, use it, copy the pages that you need. You can't take the book out, right? But it's twofold. Now I'm bringing you into the library. So there may be something else in the library you could do. You got your librarians and all these other people, those resources in there to help you with your work. So we started that, and that's been successful. We started the AD Honor Roll to recognize people who have done great work in the classroom and support them and say, look, we understand that not only you great athletes and you're making All-American and All-Conference and All-CIAA and all this, but the academic piece is just as important to us, and we want to recognize that and give you a luncheon and T-shirts and things of that nature, and put you out on our website and your names and things of that nature. The parents are like, whoa, look at my child, look, and they feel proud about themselves. We started a mentorship program where we have mentors for alums who come in and work with our students who need some support, or connect them to folks who are doing things in the field that they want to be in. We've worked with the academic folks on campus, the deans and stuff like that, to get them to work with our student athletes on a more of a one-to-one basis, and they've been very receptive to that also too. Well, what else are we doing? We do the lecture series, where we have people come in on a regular basis and sit with our student athletes in a lecture series and talk about their experience. Former student athletes that come in and talk about what they've been through, how they performed, and what is needed to move on. And that's been very successful. So a lot of these things took a turn during COVID, because we're still coming out of COVID, man. Right. From a financial perspective, from a mindset perspective, from a mental health perspective, we're still working our way. I remember listening to the experts and said, this is going to be a trickle effect. There's going to be a wave that's going to trickle out for many years from COVID. And we're still in that space. The inflation is hit, the mindset is hit. Mental health has always been around TP for a long time. But then it's become this buzzword now since COVID, because it really impacted us in ways that people just didn't realize. We didn't realize how important we were to each other. Just going outside and seeing people, locked away, and when it happened, TP, everybody said, oh man, I'm going home. This is great. Right. But not only were you home, but everybody was home. Mom, dad, sister, grandma, uncle. People were trying to do their work in the bathroom. They were in their cars doing their work. It was really a challenge. And thank God we had technology like we have today. God knows where we would have been, because we could still teach and connect to each other. Right. If this happened back in the 70s, we would have shut in, and God knows. So things happen when they're supposed to happen for a reason, and you can't question it at all, but you just got to manage it. So all those programs that we're doing, our coaches are taking a very aggressive. I just got a grant from Adobe that I'm putting in place some centers downstairs. They're going to be learning centers where each team is going to have their own space with equipment, so they can come in and have one-on-one interaction with each other and tutors in their sets. Because the softball team trains together, they work together, they learn together. So if I get them together in their own spaces, I think that they'll be more successful. I want to turn their locker room spaces into a learning space as well. Just not a place where they just come and lay down, but every week, maybe twice a week, there's going to be programming in their locker rooms, right where they're comfortable at. They're going to have desks and computers in there also too, where they can do their work and be self-sustainable right there. Wow. So that's the concept working with Adobe, and they were, I sold it to them, and they were very happy about it. And the goal is to see how the outcomes. The goal is to see how it impacts the GPAs of our student athletes and their ability to finish in a timely fashion. So yeah, and our highest achieving team last year was our softball team. I think their GPA was 3.5 across the board. They did very well, and we have some very difficult majors in it. Nursing is a very difficult major with a lot of labs, and we have a young lady who just, it makes you prideful when you see that they don't question the intensity of the responsibilities they have when they go to class and they just leave class and they go practice and they get practice, they pick up stuff and go and do what they got to do. That's what makes you feel so proud of your student athletes when they do those things. So those are just some of the programs that we're doing. And our community service, I'm very proud. All these things that I just mentioned are run by our Assistant Athletic Director for Student Success, Ms. Wanda Renee Howard. She's very involved with the students on that basis, and she does a lot of work in the community. And I think that's another big piece that people don't do. Volunteerism is critical and crucial. When you put your portfolio together, when you start putting these volunteer things down, I just had a young man, Joseph, if I'm saying his name right. I was at the Raven game with my cousin on this past Sunday, and I'm walking out of the stadium at the end of the game, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder. That was him. He got a job with the Ravens organization, and he volunteered with Dr. Jolissa Williams in her media relations department. And she was volunteering and got him because he was able to put this on the portfolio, and he learned some things, and he's a great young man. And I was so happy to see him. And that's another aspect that students don't realize. Yeah, internships, getting paid. Everybody wants to get paid. When am I getting paid? People ask me what they're getting paid before they even know what the job is. Like, let me tell you what the job is all about first, So,
oh man, that's the worst right there.
Yeah. When I started out, I volunteered every place I could TP to learn about the business. The pay will come along, and it has come along for me, and I'm very grateful for it. But I've got great guys who mentored me and took me under their wings and said, look, this is what you got to learn if you want to move ahead in this business. And that's what I try to get across to these young men. So volunteerism is another big aspect of what they need to do for their portfolio development, and also to the community service out there, because those are big things that people look at, because now you volunteered your time. You gave up yourself without getting paid to help others.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's amazing when you have individuals who are not related to you, who care just as much about your growth and maturation educationally before anything else. Because when you talk about the students, like I said before, your passion, you can tell by conversations that anytime we do talk sports, and albeit, the first thing Mr. Doughty Jr. touches on is the academic piece first before anything. Like, regardless of what the section, the segment, the conversation, the topic is, you can't have athletics without academics. And the fact that, you guys, you meaning you, yourself, Miss Renee, whom we love, also Dr. Williams, and the fact that, you are open, available, and willing to mentor and pass down the knowledge that you have. Because again, I always tell people when it comes to being a blessing, you have to be a blessing to receive a blessing. Mm. And so a lot of the things, like, I talk with Push, we do a lot of homeless, whether we're doing homeless feedings or, whether we're doing our picks and push it back, where we're giving out free backpacks, free haircuts for school supplies, free bikes. It's more so because, academically, we understand the importance of how it looks upon us and what we are already subjected to not do. So playing a part in another person's life that you have no connection to is major. You're being a blessing when you really could have took that, honed it, kept it to yourself like a lot of other selfish individuals do. But instead, you go above and beyond your job description, your job duties. You care about the students as if they're your own children.
Hey, anybody in this business who escalates to any type of position, if they tell you that they got there on their own, they're a doggone liar. I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people who have faith in me, who looked upon me and said, you can do this.